Hello, and welcome to Everything and the TARDIS console. Today I'm going to talk about the newest TARDIS-Team from Series 11 of New Who, which of course has the first female Doctor and 3 different companions that I'm going to talk about both as individuals and in relation to each other, and tell you what my first impressions are based on the first 3 episodes of the show, because that's how much I watched when I filmed this. So, without much further ado, let's start by talking about the Doctor herself. I was somewhat trepidatious going into this season. Not because I thought that a woman could not play the Doctor, but rather because I was worried about how the writers would handle a female Doctor. I was afraid that they might make too much big a deal out of her being a woman now in the actual show, or possibly, fall into female stereotypes and stuff like that. I was somewhat worried about, though to my delight I actually feel like they managed to avoid that so far. I feel like that what references have been made to the Doctor's change of gender are at a level that is realistic without being too hammered in. At least within the show. Media outside of the show might be making a bit more of a deal of it than the show itself does. But that's another thing that I'm not going to go too much into now. Now, talking about the actual portrayal of the Doctor, as played by Jodie Whittaker, I really like her. I feel like she really captures the core traits of what makes the Doctor, but also I feel like she is more self-aware and socially apt than her immediate predecessor, which I really like, because I have this kind of headcanon-y idea that when the Doctor regenerates, it's like their character development takes a mega jump forward in whichever direction it was already heading. And, well, I feel like Jodie's portrayal really fits in with this, because I feel like Capaldi's Doctor was already heading towards becoming more self-aware and socially apt toward the end of his run, and now it's like we've skipped ahead in that development to, a point where the Doctor is more self-aware and socially apt than they would have been without the regeneration. So I like that because it fits with my idea of what regeneration does to character development. I like that, she really seems to like and care about her companions and, really wants to work together with them as a team and not just on her own. Even though the teamwork message in episode 2 lacked subtlety and was like a bit too in your face, I feel like, generally speaking, the Whittaker's Doctor's, love for teamwork is something I like and appreciate. Moving on to the companions, I'm first and foremost going to talk about Jazz, or Jasmine, mainly because she's the one I have the least to say about. Because I feel like she is the least well explored of the companions thus far. Though I hear that might change in future. Like, I hear there's gonna be episodes that focus more on Jazz, which I look forward to, because I do like her. I feel like she's, a good independent woman who seems to know who she is and what she wants. Like, my main criticism with her being that she currently seems to have little to no flaws. Which, you know, I personally think is a bit of a problem with a character. Like, if a character doesn't have any flaws, I feel like they're not that interesting. Like, they should have at least one noticeable flaw, and I currently feel like Jazz kinda doesn't. Hopefully that too will change as the show puts more focus on her. Let's hope. Now, Ryan is very flawed. He has a disability called dyspraxia. I hope that's correct. Yeah, dyspraxia. Which appears to me, as someone who does not have that disability and will openly admit that I have not done a ton of research on it, to me, it appears to be well handled. Like, it's shown to be a genuine struggle, but it doesn't make him completely inept. It's not like it's the be-all end-all of his character. You know, he's also a teenager who is still at this stage where he's feels like he's not a child anymore, but he hasn't quite grown up either. And, you know, on top of that, he has to deal with grief because of what happens in episode 1. And I feel like, in difference from Jazz, Ryan still hasn't quite figured out who he is and what his role is, both in the TARDIS-Team and life in general. Although, in episode 3, it did seem like he was perhaps starting to find himself. Like, it appeared that he was somewhat inspired by some of the characters in episode 3. And I'm interested to see if and how the show will build on that in regards to his character development. Yeah, Ryan is a more interesting character than Jazz, in my opinion. And even though he, despite of that, was not an immediate favorite, he is steadily growing on me, and I am looking forward to see where his character will go. And that also includes where his relationship with Graham will go. Now, Graham is definitely my favorite of the 3 companions. You know, he is an older man who has obviously more experience than both the younger companions, and is also, you know, a survivor of cancer, and I think has a, you know, an appreciation for life while simultaneously feeling like he's living on borrowed time. Like, he shouldn't be here, but he appreciates the fact that he is. At least that's what I'm sort of getting from him. I like that, you know, he has great empathy for people, and he's, you know, genuinely trying to get a better relationship with Ryan. Because, I mean, Ryan is the grandson of the, now, spoilers, dead woman that Graham was married to. Graham is like a step-grandfather to Ryan, and Graham seems to, you know, genuinely really want Ryan to see him as his grandfather, which Ryan currently doesn't. And I like how in episode 2, when they were trying to talk about the woman that they have both lost, Ryan felt like, you know, Graham was talking too much about these sensitive things, and Graham felt like Ryan wasn't talking about it enough. Because Graham knows that it is good to talk about grief, about things that hurt. I mean, you shouldn't perhaps overdo it, but it's not good to lock your feelings in and just, you know, bottle them up and bear them all on your own. when you're hurting. And I like that, Graham knows this. Like, he knows this from experience, I presume. And he's really trying his best to bond with Ryan, but is mostly met with rejection. But I look forward to seeing that relationship develop further and maybe become better in future. So like that, Graham is not a perfect person, even though he has a lot of things figured out as an older, more experienced member of the TARDIS-Team. Especially in episode 1, he was the one that had the hardest time, believing in aliens and believing in what's going on. And while his wife was still alive, he felt like he was the one that wasn't really entirely on board with his adventure. Like, he felt like they should go away and hide and not put themselves in danger. Although it seems like his wife's death has changed that somewhat. Like, I feel like it's kind of like he's emulating her more now that she's not around. Like, cause she was very adventurous. Like, she was really enjoying it. And I feel like he's almost trying to take on that role now that she's no longer around to do so. Whether it's conscious or not, I'm not sure. But that's the impression I'm getting from him. And I love him. I love him. And I mean, I was kind of expecting to, because I already enjoyed the actor Bradley Walsh in some other shows I watched. So, I like him as an actor, and this is no exception. I love him, love him, love him, love him. Yeah, and I also like that, generally speaking, going back to the teamwork aspect, that, the Doctor tries to, involve her companions and have them all work as a team. It feels like a team, and even a bit like a family, which I feel like it might feel even more like as their relationships develop further. And I am really enjoying it so far, even though there are some things I like to see more of, like more exploration of jazz and stuff like that. Yeah, those are my sort of initial first impressions of this TARDIS-Team based on the first 3 episodes of Series 11, and I look forward to see more of them. You can put your thoughts on the TARDIS-Team in the comments. It'd be interesting to hear what you think. But for now, it's goodbye, and I'll hopefully see you in another video. Ciao!